Welcome. Today's topic is mechanicalness versus consciousness. Is man asleep? I think I'm asleep because I can't pronunciate. A gentleman named Gurdjieff came up with a notion that he had learned apparently in the East that man is asleep. Now, if you tell somebody they're asleep, they'll call you a liar. They'll say, well, I'm awake. I'm here right now. And it does seem very silly. But Gurdjieff gave an example of how to test this theory. And that is called self-remembering. That is, if you were to hold the sensation, I am here, and compare it, do it several times off and on, and compare it to the times when you're not doing it, and just verify for yourself, were you or were you not aware of yourself during the times you didn't do that. And for those of us who have experimented with that, we've pretty much come to the conclusion he was right. Man is typically what they call identified and not aware of himself. Mechanicalness is to be under influence. That's what Gurdjieff, the way he stated it. We are under influence of all kinds of things and noises, and all of our senses are being bombarded all the time. And when one becomes aware of oneself through self-remembering, the idea is that consciousness rises above that identification to kind of peek above the clouds down at what is going on. It's kind of like observing yourself and how you're reacting to the environment around you. And it has a lot to do with beliefs. We believe a lot of things. We believe a lot of things we're told. And in that, we never stop to think that these things may not be true, some of them. And one of the things we're told is that we're awake when we get up in the morning. And that is the topic of this conference. And I'll turn over the mic to anybody that wants to comment.
Yeah. The idea that we have will, that we are in control of our life, all of that was challenged by Gurdjieff. He basically challenged us to prove that we had self-will. He said, we are asleep. We are reactive robots. We are mechanical in our nature unless we spend the energy to work and to wake up.
Well, you see, your mic just cut out, but I'm following you good. Yes, Gurdjieff actually literally said man is a machine. As we are subject to influences, and we behave mechanically. We do not have will. We cannot plan ahead. Accidents happen to us because of our lack of consciousness.
What troubles me a little about the way it's usually spoken of, it's as if it's so cut and dried, you know, mechanical, boom, waking up, oh, conscious, as if suddenly, you know, there's been a complete sort of shift of state. And in practice, it really, surely is not like that. It's endlessly a matter of degree. Earlier on, I'd taken the mic off to go look for a book, and of course I can't find it, and I can't even here and now remember the name of it, but there was just a nugget of information on the flyleaf of that book to the effect, it's considering the bits of information handled by the brain and the neural system, it's on a par, it's something like 16 billion bits, something like that a second, you know, it's just mind-blowing, you know, how much information is being processed. And maybe you're conscious of a million bits of that. A tiny, tiny fragment. So you can be Gurdjieff, you can be Jesus, you know, but you still only are aware of a tiny fragment of all this that is going on. And there's something misdirecting about suggesting that you want to be conscious of all that's going on. That isn't a reasonable possibility, it seems to me, I conjecture.
You know, the idea of the sliding scale, I think, was a great idea that Phil brought to us a couple of weeks ago. And also, you know, if you look in the text, a suggestion was made here recently, I think it was over at the Gurdjieff work, as a matter of fact, that you take a certain small number of conscious breaths every day. You know? And how you do that, by the way, the Buddhist Oriental tradition is in through the nose, because you're filtering the air through your nose. Okay? And out through the mouth. Okay? In through the nose, out through the mouth. And a pause in between, holding the breath. And I'll do it perfectly now for you so you can hear what I'm doing, so you'll know exactly what I'm doing. Conscious breath. Doing the same thing that you do when you sit on the toilet. The loo, Bill. When you sit on the loo, when you sit on the toilet, and you expel the waste matter, that's what you're doing when you're expelling your air.
I do this so well, I can't even find the button to get the mic to work. There's an understanding around consciousness that evades me somehow, and always has. And Gurdjieff uses the word in quite a bit different sort of ways and contexts than I normally would. And I know lots of people do the same thing. I'm sure that, reasonably sure that people here aren't doing that. But I know lots of my friends, when I say conscious, they mean that in their minds it's, oh, I haven't been knocked out yet, so I'm conscious. But that's not the type of conscious that I think we're talking about here. So when someone uses the word conscious, I switch it back and forth with deliberate and then conscious and deliberate, and try and sort out what they're actually trying to say as opposed to what the word is. And I don't know if I'm right or not, and I don't really have a concrete way of explaining the difference. It's just, for me, it's a way of deciding something in myself.
I think that's a worthwhile distinction, and I've often found myself using the phrase like living on purpose. It's like emerging from a state of complete mechanicality to a level of being aware of mechanicality offers a chance to do something on purpose, do something deliberately, or refrain from doing something, deliberately refrain from doing some piece of mechanical shit. So like mechanicality has gone to a higher level. That's sort of tacking on to what I was saying before.
I want to let the listeners know that we meet every week on Paltalk, and this that you've just heard is in real time. That's why you're going to hear, you have just heard probably some rather odd things. And we meet here. This is a very informal meeting. You're welcome to drop in. We're going to have the address of this chat room in the info of this video. So drop in sometime and get in on the action.